Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Yomesh Gupta. In this video, we are going to solve a front-end interview question from MakeMyTrip. It's asked there in their front-end interview process. I have modified the question a bit to make it a bit more harder and we and to make specifically focus on good UI and styling and all those things. It's a fun question. In this question, we'll build a UI component, and this is from, like I mentioned, on the Devtools Tech platform. I will highly recommend that you go and log in, check the link in the comments or in the description, and log into your account and solve this question or build along with me. So let's take a look what we have to build. Like you see on the screen, it says that build a typing speed test component. Okay, and it's an intermediate level question. You can either attempt it in React or you can do it in vanilla JavaScript. We'll do it with React. Now the problem statement says that in this challenge you're asked to implement a simplified version of the TypeRacer game to test typing speed. Okay, so there is some component called TypeRacer, that what I'm gathering. It's so the requirement says that UI displays a random paragraph. Okay, the player must type the text into an input field. Okay, all characters are faded initially. If the character matches the corresponding character in the paragraph, it turns green. Okay, so we have a paragraph on the screen and they are faded initially, all the characters, and as we type, if it matches the corresponding character, then it turns green. If it is incorrect, then it turns red, and all the subsequent characters also appear red until corrected. Okay, as soon as the user starts typing, start a timer for 30 seconds. Basically, we'll go down from 30 to 0. The game stops when the timer is over or the paragraph is completely typed out. Okay, so if the initial paragraph that was given, if it is completely typed out, or the timer which we set for 30 seconds, it's over, then the game is over. Upon completion, show the final typing speed and in words per minute and accuracy, and a button to retry. Okay, and we have to support backspace also, like they can clear. So expected behavior is that if there is a paragraph called hello world, user types HEL. So HEL is green and rest is black. And HEZ, if they type HEZ, then HE is green and Z is red and rest is red too. Okay, and when finished, we say words per minute, typing accuracy, button to retry. Okay, so we are given the sample paragraph, the colors that we need to use. So let's see the demo, what we need to build in this. So we have given the paragraph, and as we type, the characters are turning green, but if we type anything wrong, then they turn red, and the subsequent characters are also red, even though if they are correct. And the timer is there, and if we go back, then we can correct, we can support backspace, and there is this caret animation also, like that blinker. We will build that at the last. So let's see. Okay, and we are just typing it out now, and let me just quickly forward this. And once we are done, then we have words per minute, which is 38, and accuracy 68.1% out of 100, and we have an option to retry. Okay, looks good enough. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So let's quickly understand or quickly go through what we have understood from this question. Let me increase the font size first. Let me make it 30 and have some space here. So it says that we need, or let's do one thing. Let's first create the TypeRacer component here. And inside this, we will first write down our algorithm and our understanding basically. Let me close this. So we have an initial paragraph. Okay. And as user types, we want to check if current keystroke matches with the current paragraph character. Okay, so now what we need for this question, basically if it matches, so let's say on the first keystroke, if matches, then set color to green, else set color to red. Okay, and this is the case where mistake is found, is set to true. Now on the subsequent request or subsequent keystrokes, if mistake is already present, then set to red, else matching conditions. So this is the core logic. Like as we user start typing, first we need to show a paragraph, and as user starts typing, we have to match character by character, and if there is an error, then we rest of the characters are error only. Okay. Now what else we need? So on start, set a timer which goes from 30 seconds to 0 seconds. Okay. And finish, what, how are we going to consider the finishing conditions? It can be either if all the characters are typed out, or if timer goes to 0. So this is our finishing condition, and on a start condition we set the timer. What else do we need for this? Let me just quickly go through. Color red, initially they are faded. Okay. And yes, stats, that at last we will show two stats, or yeah, words per minute, that is how many words they can type in a minute. And another one would be accuracy. Like accuracy is basically out of total type characters, how many were actually right or correctly typed. And lastly we have to show a button also to retry or reset, that kind of a thing. Okay, so we'll add to this, and also let's look into what we want to build. Let me close this out, and let's see what we'll jot down basic structure, like steps or to-do list. What we want to do first, we will build a basic UI. uh, Build a basic UI. This is our first step. Then we will add functionality to it. Then we will maybe take care of the timer, or in this we will also take care of some styling and everything, then add functionality, then timer, and then stats maybe at the last. And at the last we can also take care of the caret condition, that blinker, we will look at it last. Okay, now let's take this paragraph and let's create a file called constants.js. So I'll build a basic UI first. So I'll take this here, I'll say paragraph, I'll add this, and I'll export this. Okay, so we need style, we need app.js. So let me just import this, import paragraph from constants. And to have more space, let me, should we move it out or keep it here? Okay, let's keep it here. And oh, let me scroll down. I'll create this component called TypeRacer here for now, and this will return as of now nothing, maybe div right here, and we will export it, TypeRacer. And in our app component we will scroll up, we will import this, so TypeRacer, from TypeRacer, and we will just simply render this here. Okay, so we have this component which is getting rendered here, so that's fine. Now let's go back to, we can close app.js, we can go back to now TypeRacer and start building a basic UI. So for this, what we need, let me add some structure to this. So this is our container, so let's give it a class name of container. Inside this we need a timer, because if we see the demo, we have the timer and the text, and last we got the stats. So this would be the timer. Let's give it 30 for now, like a dummy value. Then we will have the actual paragraph. Let's say some text, and then we will have the result. So it's an empty div for now, the results one, but we'll keep it that way. Let's add some styling to it maybe. So we'll go back to our style.js. We'll say padding 0, margin 0, and we will make html comma body width, maybe let's give it 100%, and let's add some background color to it. I'm not sure which color this was, so 414141, maybe let's give it some equivalent color, but I want it to be a bit more dark, so maybe this one. Yeah, this is fine. Now let's define our container. So we'll give it a width of 90% and max width of, let's say, 700 pixels. We'll give it a margin of maybe 3 rem and auto. And what else we want here? Let's say display, because it will contain everything. So display flex direction, we'll give it column. Let's add a gap of 2 rem maybe. And for our paragraph, we will say, or we'll come back to paragraph. Let's first do the timer. So for timer, we want maybe font size of 2 rem and font weight of uh, 700, maybe bold, and color. So color, I think it's already present here. Yeah, let's copy these. So if we come back here, so for so this is the timer, this is for timer color. Let's add these and let's comment these out. So see, we have the color here, timer color. And for paragraph, we'll come to the paragraph styling, but let's okay, let's add a bit of color here. Let's say maybe white for now, and let's type out all the characters we need. So let me give you an example here now. Let's say our initial paragraph is hello world, and we have to render this, and as user types, let's say user types HELL, we have to match. If first index matches the first in the paragraph, and then second matches, and then third, and then fourth. So to collect this, we need some mechanism to collect user input, so that would come inside an input element. We'll define it later, but first let's render this paragraph, and I need to check individual characters. So what I'm going to do is that we need to split it somehow. So we'll create an array here where each element of the array represent each character in the paragraph. So here it would be something like H, and there would be a status attached to it. Now this status could be untyped, or the value of the status could be something like untyped, correct, or incorrect, because these are the possible values. Either this H is typed, this ELL is typed. Now remaining OWORLD, they are not typed yet, so they would be untyped, but these HELL would be correct. But if I type I here, then this would be another character, but within it with the status as incorrect. Okay, so similarly, let's do that. So I'll create a initial flat characters. I'll create an array here. What I'll do is I'll take my paragraph, I'll split it, and then I'll map over it. So this will give me the character, each character here. Let me increase, go to the full screen mode and do it here. So inside this, what we are going to return is, we are going to return the character and the status. Now we need to define the status again, because like I mentioned, we have untyped, correct, and incorrect. So we'll go to our const again, and here what we are going to do is const character statuses, this would be S, and we have untyped, which would be untyped. We have correct, which would be correct. Then we have incorrect, which would be incorrect. I'll take copy this, I'll go to my TypeRacer, I'll import this, I'll come back here, my status would be character statuses dot untyped. Okay, and as user will type, we want to change the status, that when they type H, this character H, the status will change from untyped to either correct or incorrect. So that means we want to modify it, so that's why we want to store it in the state, and that will import useState here from React. And then we are going to, inside our component, we are going to say, let's say characters, we'll say set characters useState, and we will pass our initial flat characters to it, or we can call it just initial characters. And then inside our paragraph, what we are going to do is that we are going to loop over our characters. If it is a map, we'll get the character here ch, which is, the ch is basically one element, this particular element. Okay, and we will render this inside a span. So we'll do span, and we will do ch dot char. Now if I go back, you'll see all the characters are typed out. It is not typed out, it is showing up in the screen now. And what I can do here is that I can make it a bit bigger. So let me first give it a class. So I'll give it a class name of char, or we have to provide multiple classes. So let me import a utility dot class name. So this is a package, npm package, which I'm going to install. So it's installed now. I'll go back here, I will give it a class name, or in this case what I'm going to do is I'm first going to give it a key, because we are looping. This key would be ch comma I hyphen ch dot char. Okay, and this char, we will do class names here, but we have to import this class names because we don't have it. So we will take these class names and we will import it from class names, and if I refresh, so it's still showing up correctly. Now let's go back to our style.css, and inside our paragraph, what I'm going to do is I can do one thing, I'll make it flex, then I'm do flex wrap to as wrap, and now I can give it a font size, maybe font size of 1.5 rem. This is good enough for now because our timer was 2, so we can make it 1.5. And now each character, so if I go here, my each character will have the class name. So we want to identify that if the character is typed, untyped, correct, incorrect, and as per that we want to apply some styling to it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply the class from the status. My status will act as a class here. So if my character dot untyped, that it is not typed, then the color would be RGBA 255 0.2, because initially, if you remember, our requirement was that it is fade out, and if it is correct, then we will apply some other class to it, or other color. We have that here for characters, correct characters, we have this. And if it is incorrect, then we have this one. Okay, now we can remove this one. Now if I go back to my TypeRacer, and if I change this class, let's say rather than status, if I do untype, we see the faded out one. And if I make it correct, then we see it in green, and if we see incorrect, then we see it red. So that means our classes are working fine. So we'll do that, but our spaces are gone because we don't have the, because we are using flex now. So what we can do here is that if it's a space, then we can have non-breakable space here just to give that look, which is NBSP. See, if I zoom in, it's, we have the timer and we have all the spaces with the letters correctly printing out. So this, if you see, our basic UI is almost done. Now let's add a bit more things and a bit more functionality to it. So our basic UI is almost done, but we still need a mechanism to gather user input, because right now if I go here and I type, then nothing happens. So for that, what I'm going to do is that inside here, I'm going to define or I'm going to create a new input. So this input, like if I go here and I can type here in this input, I'll do that, but I'll make it controlled component. So here what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say input characters, basically what we are going to store or what we are going to type, basically use state, and it's initially an empty string, and this input characters would be the value for the input field, and on change we want to have this data, so handle input change. Let's create this method here. It will take event and we'll get the value here, and we are going to say e dot target dot value, and we'll console log this value basically, and we can set this also, to be honest. And if I go back and if I scroll, sorry, if I go to not scroll, inspect, and if I zoom in a bit, I clean this. If I go and I type here, then we can see that all the characters are coming here, hello and so on. So this works fine, simple enough. But in our case, what we were seeing, that this was not present, this was somehow implicit, that as you type, then it was stored in a manner that the input field is not visible. So let's achieve that behavior. So what we are going to do is that we are going to give it a class name called hidden input, and we'll go to our style.css. We'll apply this where we can say that this position is absolute. Let me add a position relative to the container. Here we'll say that width, let's say 1 pixel, height 1 pixel, and background color transparent, border 0. And what else do we need here? I don't think anything else we need in this. We'll come back to this if anything is required. Now, but what happened with this is that since it's hidden now, like if I go to the console and if I now start typing, we don't see anything. Earlier we were seeing the characters that were typed out, but here we are not seeing anything. So we have to behave, we have to mimic that behavior, that if user comes to this page and they start typing, then we have to capture those characters. So for that we are going to use a ref here, and we will say we'll create a ref here called input ref, use ref, and we will pass this to our input element. Now the benefit of this is that now we control this DOM element and we can do any sort of operation on it. So what we can create a method called setup input focus, and inside this method what we are going to do is that input ref dot current, if it is present, then we'll call focus on it, and this will happen as soon as we click on the container. You can attach it to the body, but for now I'm attaching it on the container. So the benefit of this would be that if I go here and if I inspect again, so if I click and I start typing, then see we are getting all the data again, all the characters that are typed out, because as soon as we click here, then this input element is focused. If you see, it is still present, but we can even make it better. We can say outline none, and if we type now, then yes, it's gone. And so this works fine, but now we have to implement the logic to handle the input change, that we have to modify the state of the characters, and let's implement that. So let's close this and let's implement that. uh, for that, first we want to iterate over all the characters. We want to and we want to check if it is correct, incorrect. So we'll define a very basic structure logic for now. So we'll say updated characters. We will map over our characters, and inside this we will say that if the value dot I, or we will have this I here, is equal to ch dot character, then we'll have the status. So let's say status for now, character status is untyped, that the character I'm looping over as of now, let's assume that it is untyped. So if it is untyped, then, and if the current character that is typed out, if it matches, then we will say the status is correct, else the status is incorrect, or in this case incorrect. And once this is done, then we'll return it. So character would be ch dot character, and status would be the status we just updated, and this updated characters will set it to our set characters. Now if I refresh here and if I show you, see, now everything is red, and we can't type anymore because there are some logic errors here, but the basic functionality works, that as we started typing out, then it is showing in green and red. Now let's optimize this a bit. So let's say my original string was hello world, but as I'm typing, then I have just typed HELL. So that means anything else is untyped. We don't have to bother for that for now. We have to just check for this one. So that means this is 0 1 2 3. So we have to check for index 0 1 2 3. So how can we do that? We can say if I is less than value dot length, then we are going to do this whole logic of, because as we typed out, we just have 0 1 2 3, and remaining everything, like remaining all the indexes 4 to n, which is the end, we it would be untyped. So we will just set it to the untyped status and return the character. Okay. And there was this case that if one character is typed as wrong, then subsequently all the characters should be considered as wrong until we go back and correct it. So let's do that. So outside this, we will say is mistake found, and for now we will set it to false. So if my mistake is found, then we will set is mistake found as true, and maybe just to reset it, inside this we'll set it to false. So we'll update the condition that if mistake is found, then we will set the status as incorrect right away. We don't have to check anything else. Else if, so this is for subsequent, like let's say I typed it ITWAS and then I typed the wrong character, then all the other characters should be considered wrong as and when they are typed. So if I refresh and if I start typing now, it was, see, defense against. So right now it's working fine, but if I start typing wrong, then all the characters are considered wrong, no matter if they are even typed as right. Okay. So this adds the basic functionality. We are doing the logic for correct incorrect characters or statuses. We have the input field which is collecting the user input. We have hidden it and it works out of the box for now. So let's see what else we can do here. If we go back to our algorithm, we have we did the initial paragraph, we are rendering it. The first keystroke matches. If mistake is found, we are setting it to red. We are handling the next keystrokes also. So on start is left and on finish is left right now. That means we need a timer. And for timer, we need to capture the state that if it is on start or on finish. So let's do that. So for this, we'll have a, let's say, another state called set state, and inside this we'll set it to idle. So this is the state of our application. You can call it app state, I'm just calling it state. It could be idle, or it could be typing, or it could be finished. So this is representing what is happening right now in the app, overall app. So right now it's idle, and as we start typing, if as we start typing, sorry, in this handle input change, if my state is idle, then I want to start the timer. We'll come to that. And we want to set the state, set app state, or let me call it app state just to make it better. App state. So if my app state is idle, then we want to set app state to typing. Okay. And we can take care of couple of conditions here, that if my app state is finished, then we want to just simply return. So this is the case, let's say the timer is over, or we typed out everything and we still keep on pressing the keystrokes, then we don't have to register that, we just simply return. And now when our timer, or when we have to change this state, app state, we can handle that condition also. If our value, which is basically our input that we are getting, if value dot length is equal to characters dot length, as in the input field length is equal to the initial characters length, then we will set our app state to finished. You can modify this condition based on the interviewer's feedback, that you want to keep it for correctly typed or the just total length. I'm currently taking the total length here. So we have the app state here. We changed it from idle to typing. We also took care of finished. And so if we go back, we took care of this, we are setting, but on start we need to set a timer also. So let's build that. So I'll go back to my files. I'll create a new file called usetimer.js. We'll do a very crude implementation of a timer. So here we'll have some initial time. So our goal is that we'll have an initial time which will be 30 from now, and it will go to 0 seconds. Okay. And we need a mechanism to start the timer and reset the timer also, because if you remember that at the last we have a button to reset the timer. So let's implement this. So I'll have use timer here. It will take an time initial time, and it will also take maybe a method on finish. When the timer is over, then we want to do something, that sort of thing. And let's export this, export default use timer. So we want to track how much time is left. So let's create that, set time left, use state initial time. Basically we are setting it to 30. If we are getting 30, maybe it could be 5, 10, whatnot. So let's add this use state here. This would be from the act, and we will return this time left basically. And we need, like I mentioned, we need a method to start the timer. So we'll have this start timer method. Inside this, what we are going to do is that we're going to set interval. Inside this interval, which will run on every 1000 milliseconds or 1 second, we want to set the time left, and this set the time left will get the current time. So this will return t minus 1. So it will keep on decreasing the our counter basically from 30 to 0. But if t is less than equal to 1, that means we are approaching 0 or equal to 0, then we want to clear the timer. So to clear the timer, we need the timer id. So we'll take use ref here, and we'll have the timer id, which is use ref, and we'll say clear interval timer id dot current, and we'll store this here, and we'll set the timer id to null, and we'll return 0 here. Also, if we have that on finish method, then we'll call it. So I'll come back to that why I'm passing the on finish here, but for now, consider that when the because the if the timer is over, if from 30 to 0 it happens, like it goes from 30 to 0, then we want to be informed about that the timer is 0 and we want to stop the game. So that is here the on finish, and we'll return this start timer here. So we need a method to reset also, so we'll have the reset timer. Inside this, what we are going to do is that we are going to set initial or set time left to the initial time. We'll set the timer id dot current to null. Okay, and we'll return this. We'll come back if we need to do anything. One thing I would like to advise here is that you can use callback here, because this will be getting invoked, so you can stop the creation of the start timer and a reset timer again and again. So you can use callback here. I'm not using, but we can come back to that. And then we come to TypeRacer. We'll import these. So it's a default import, so we'll say use timer from use timer.js, and we'll invoke it here. So we'll get time left, we'll get start timer and reset timer from use timer here. Now time initial time, oh yeah, it is expecting initial time, so we'll say initial time, let's say it's 5 for now. Initial time, we'll pass that, and we'll pass on finish also. So what we want to do is that when uh, the timer is over, we want to change the app state. We want to set it to finished, so that after the timer is over and the state changes to finish, then no user interaction is registered, or we don't take any action on it. And if we take the start timer, like I mentioned, that when we have the initial keystroke, we want to start the timer, and this time left will go to our dummy value, like here. So right now it says 5, and if I refresh now and if I show you, then see the timer starts changing and it becomes 0, and after 0 nothing happens. And if I start typing here, I'm typing here, nothing is happening, because our timer is 0, and as the time changed, the state also became finished, like it changed to finish, and we are not taking any action on the user interactions. So we worked on the basic UI, we added the functionality to capture the input, we built the timer. Now let's build on the stats or results screen. So basically this will show up if the state is finished, but let's add the basic here. So we'll say words per minute, which would be some data here. Then we need accuracy, we need a button which is going to say retry. So let's add this some styling to it. We'll go back to styles. We will say our results would be a flex container with column, maybe a gap of 1 rem or maybe 0.5, with color of white, font size of 1 rem or maybe 1.2 to make it a bit bigger. Let's make this button a bit pretty. So results button will say width is max content, will say padding 10 pixel 15 pixel, and then we'll say border radius of 4 pixel. Then we will do it maybe a background color and font weight bold. Now what we want is maybe a bit bigger button, yeah. And we'll add one more thing, that when this button is we are hovering on it, we'll add a margin top of 1 pixel. So now if I zoom in, oh, let me add one more thing first. Let me add a border of 0. So if I zoom in, if I show you that if I hover, then there is this little press which is giving some visual feedback, so that's why we are adding it. Also we can do one more thing, we can say cursor is equal to pointer. See, now we need these stats, we need words per minute and we need accuracy. So for words per minute and accuracy, we need to know how many characters the user typed and how many of them were correct. So let's store both of them. So we'll create another state called correctly typed characters and set correctly typed chars. Let's say initially it is 0. I'll copy this and I'll say total typed characters here, and for this again total type characters. Now we know when each character is counted as correct, at that time we can increase this counter. So we can say correct chars basically 0, and when we see that so basically let's say if we take this example, this is our total string, like the original string, and when we type HELL, so this will go into this else if condition. So we now know that there are 4 characters that are right, so we'll increase this counter. It was initially 0 and it will become 4 after HELL, and after the entire loop is done, then we will set it. So we can say set correctly typed characters to correct chars. Okay, but now we also want to know how many characters were typed in total. So that is basically the length of the input field, like whatever we are typing in the input field, that would be the length. So what we can do here is, or let me take this as an example here. So let's say we type, so our original is hello world, we type HELL. So that means our value dot length is equal to 4, and our we update our input characters length also. So that means with this our input characters would also become 4. This I mean input, when I say input characters, it would say input characters dot length, I'm using interchangeably. Then I type, let's say hello or OORLD. Now what happened is that this, from this O, everything will be considered wrong. So my value dot length will increase and my input dot characters length will also increase, because we are setting the input characters. But do we need to, and this will also increase our total characters length also, and this will become, let's say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So it will become 11. Okay, but if I go back and delete this, like if I go back hello to this point till I add a space, now my value dot length is 6, but this is also updating my total typed characters. which is basically 11 at this point. But do we need to set it to 6 now? No, we don't, because we have already taken that action. User has already taken that action. They typed this complete out, and if we reduce it, if we change it to 6, then we are messing up with our calculation. Whatever is typed out, if there is a keystroke, then it will be counted uh, as a total typed character, except backspace. We don't have to count backspaces. Now, how can we get to know this? So if my input value dot in length minus input characters dot length, so in this case, if we do that, we say 6 minus 11, which would come out to be minus 5. So our delta is minus 5. That means we went back. And since we are going back, so we don't have to consider it as a input typed characters. So if we do this calculation, so our delta would be value dot length minus input characters dot length. And if it is greater than 0, then only we will set our total typed characters p plus delta. Now let me show you what is the meaning of this. So let's say I have correctly typed characters and I have total typed characters here. Okay, so for now, if I show you, for now it is all 500. That is the timer, and total correctly type and total type both are 0. Let me increase the timer to a bit more so that we can see this. Okay, now I increase this and let me start typing. So you'll see that, oh, let me refresh this. So you see that both correctly typed and total typed are increasing, and even if I start typing wrong, then my total typed characters are still increasing, but my correctly typed are not. But if I go back, then my total type characters are not increasing. And as we go forward, now my both are increasing in the right order. That my I have typed so far 75 keystrokes. I've done 75 keystroke in terms of characters, and out of them 47 were correct. Okay, so that's what I wanted to show you. Now let's refresh this and let's remove both of these from here. Now we want to calculate the stats also. So let's do that. How can we use these values? So I'll create this object called stat. I will use memo here, and it will change when our state changes. And we need use memo, so we'll have this here. We'll come back to this. So if our oh sorry if our state is finished, then only we will do calculation. We don't have to do real-time calculation. State, app state, sorry, we don't have state. So if our app state changes, then only we have to do the calculation. We don't have to do it real time. And if our state is not finished, then our words per minute is 0, and our accuracy is also 0 initially. Okay, and that we can render it here also, like stats dot words per minute, and here it would be stats dot accuracy. So initially both the values are 0. We'll hide it right for now, as in will when we do the state check. So let's add that. So if our state is finished, then only we want to do this, else we want to do null, and we will hide this. Oh, why I'm typing state again? It's app state. So when my app state is finished, then only we want to render the result screen. And if now we have to do the calculation, so let's first do the accuracy. So my accuracy will only be there if I have any total typed characters. So total typed characters, if it is greater than 0, then my accuracy will be counted as correctly typed characters divided by total type characters into 100. So this is a percentage. So basically what I'm doing is, let's say if I typed 100 characters, only 10 were correct, so that means 10%. And we will do 2 fixed to 1, so because we want just up to 1 decimal place. Okay, if not, then let's give it 0 0.0. So this is our accuracy. We'll return our accuracy here. Now we need to type words per minute. We need to calculate that. So first we need to calculate how much time did we actually spend on it. So we can say elapsed seconds would be initial time minus time left. So let's say initial time was 30 seconds and remaining time is 20 seconds. That means I did it in 10 seconds. But let's say if initial time is 30 seconds and the timer gets to 0, that means I took the complete 30 seconds. So this is my time elapsed, that how much time did we take. And now we have to convert it into minutes also, because it's words per minute. So for minutes, what I can do is elapsed seconds divided by 60, because in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. Now I need words. So words would be correctly typed characters divided by 5. So this is an assumption that a word would be, like, it's a journal assumption in English or how we do calculation, that a word would be most probably 5 characters. So that's why, because right now we know how many characters we typed, but how many those characters will translate into a word, so we'll just divide it by 5. And if we want to calculate words per minute, so it would be words divided by minutes, and we can just do a math.floor on it. So that we don't want, we want an integer, we don't want a floating point number here, and we will just return it. So you can do other things also, like if elapsed seconds is greater than 0, then only we do this calculation, because we don't want division by 0 error. So this is this, and this here will return the accuracy in words per minute. And if I come here and I refresh it, and if I start typing, then you will see my timer is going on. And let's see how much I get to after this completion. I'm trying to type fast, that's why I'm making mistakes. So words per minute is 66, and my accuracy, if I zoom in, words per minute is 66 and my accuracy is 93.8. So this covers in almost everything. I think retry is left, so we'll just do that also. So we'll come here, we'll go after stats, maybe we create reset method here. Inside this we'll reset everything. We'll set app state to idle. We'll set total typed characters to 0. We'll set total correctly typed characters to 0. We'll set characters to initial characters, because we want to reset every keyboard, every stroke or every character to untyped. Then we want to reset the timer also, that is also done. And anything else we need to reset, so input characters also, so set input characters to empty string. So we did that. We reset, we are resetting the characters. App state also, yeah, we have to set the app state. Are we doing that? Yeah, we are doing that. We are also resetting set correctly typed characters and set total typed characters also. So, and we'll take this reset and we'll add it here, that on click will reset. So let's just decrease the timer to see this is working fine. So we'll refresh and we'll type. So 4 3 2 1, it will go to 0. So 4, it says 4 words and accuracy is 100%, and if I click on reset, then it resets to the original state. So everything works fine. I think only thing is left is the, if we go back to our demo, we had this initial caret animation which was blinking. So let's see if we can implement that. So for this, what we can do is we can do a CSS. So we can do a both JS and solution or either a CSS solution. Let's go with a CSS solution for this. So what I'm going to do is that if we want to find that where we want to show this caret. So basically we want to show the caret to the current character. So if my input characters dot length is equal to I, so that means my current, like if I'm on I, then to I want to attach the caret. So if it is there, then I will add the caret class to it, else nothing. It will be, because we are using class name, it will remove it if it's false. So we'll come to our styles and we'll add the blinker styling here. So first let's add some animation to our character, that transition color, because we want to change the color, and we'll have 150 ms ease in, and then we will add the caret styling here. So caret before. So to this we'll also add position relative, because we want to absolutely position the caret here, and this would be position absolute, top maybe -1 pixel, and or maybe -2, and left would be 0. Now let's define the width, 2 pixel, height maybe 1.3 rem. Let's add a background color to it, and display inline block. And if we go to back, we have the caret class applied here, right? Let me verify. Yes, we have. And we come back to our style. We want to add an animation also to it, like a blink animation. It would be maybe 1 second, step start, and it would be infinite. We have to define this animation, so let's do that. So keyframes blink at 0% and 100%, opacity would be 1, and for 50% the opacity would be 0. And if I refresh now, you're not seeing it, because we have the width of 2 pixel, height, color, display inline block, animation we have also applied. uh, so why it's not showing up? Because display inline, we have the width. If I remove position, then oh, my bad, because we have did that, but we haven't assigned the content, so it would be empty. See, it starts showing up, so it's going up, so it would be -2, not, sorry, 2 pixels, not -2. So if I see now, then we will see this caret here, and if I start typing, then we will see it at the position before the character that is going to be typed out. So if we add a space, then it go to D, and if we stop typing, then it will start showing up here. Then as soon as we stop typing, then it starts showing up arts that, and it's here. So it works well. We can, maybe increase the height of it as per you, like what do you want. 1.4 also looks good enough. So if we come back to our requirements, we had the initial paragraph and we split it into characters and we are rendering it. We are, taking care of all the logic, that if on keystroke we matches, if it works, if it's correct, then we set it to green, else we'll set it to red, and we are storing if the mistake is found. On the subsequent keystrokes, if the mistake is found, then we are setting it to red, else we'll do the matching condition. We wrote a simple hook, timer hook, which goes from 30 to 0 seconds. We also added the finish conditions. We also added the stats, a button to retry, and we followed the to do we added, like a build a UI, add functionality, timer, stats, and caret, depending on what time we have. So ideally this is like a medium level question, and it would take roughly 60 minutes. Maybe not able to do in 60 minutes, but I would say, like I said, define a to do, and then approach as per that. Not sure that if we can get it done in 60 minutes, but approach matters here. Also, if you notice that I am not when we are doing the matching here, I'm not normalizing. I'm not saying value.I to lower case and ch.char to lowercase, because in a actual real world app, in a typing app, you want to match against the exact casing, exact characters. You don't want to do make the both in lowercase and then match, because a lowercase a and a cap uppercase a in terms of paragraphs means two different things. It is not same. So that's why I'm not doing any casing here. If that's your follow-up question, if the interviewer asks, that's my take on it. Plus, obviously I am looping everything. You can use even a for loop and loop over the value rather than updated characters. But my reasoning here is that, let's say if I type out everything, like if I start typing, and if I start typing here, and if I go all these characters, then the character array is updated and each character is set as incorrect, and I need to reset these ones also. And I can't do these, I can't go back to this particular element and set and then reset everything. So I'm looping over updated characters. You can do it in another way, and if you have a better way, or if you think I missed out something, then please do mention in the comments. So this is the end of the video. I hope you were able to learn something new today and you like the solution that I presented. As always, if you feel that I missed out on something or something could have been done better, then please do mention in the comments, do reach out to me, happy to discuss. And like I mentioned, it would be highly beneficial to you also, that if you use the links in the description or you on the screen, devtools.tech, you go there, you log in into your account and code along with me. To support this channel, you can get the subscription of devtools.tech. This will enable us, for me, to create content faster or to add more questions to the platform. So it's a win-win for both of us. If you want to book a session with me, talk things through, if you want to have my help with your interview preparation, then you can go to topmate.io/Yomesh Gupta. There are social links, my Twitter and my LinkedIn, if you want to connect with me. Also, just one last thing, if you see, like I said, if you see value in this content, if you want it to reach to more broader people, then please do help me in sharing this content on your social platforms, LinkedIn, your Twitter, Reddit, and so on. And if you want me to cover any specific questions and topics, then please do mention in the comments. Till next time, see you, take care, bye bye.